Number 10 is a rogue planet drifting through the darkness between stars, unbound to any sun, unbound to any light source at all. It was likely ripped from its own solar system billions of years ago and cast into the void with nothing left to orbit. But what's even crazier is that scientists estimate there could be billions of these worlds wandering the galaxy right now, and we would never know if one drifted through our own solar system until it was already too close to ignore. A rogue planet like this has no star to warm it. No sunrise, no sunset, no seasons. Just an endless, frozen night stretching in every direction. Picture standing on its surface. There is no glow on the horizon. There is no horizon that means anything at all, because there is nothing to measure it against. Astronomers using microlensing surveys have detected dozens of these objects since the technique was refined in the 2010s, each one betraying its presence only by bending the light of a distant star for a few brief hours. Number 10 is lonely. But loneliness like this is only the beginning, because number 9 takes that same isolation and multiplies it by speed. A hypervelocity star is a star that has been slingshotted out of its home galaxy entirely, thrown by a gravitational interaction so violent it now travels fast enough to escape the galaxy's gravity forever. One known example, catalogued as S5HVS1, is moving at roughly 1,700 kilometers per second, fast enough to cross the distance from Earth to the Moon in about 4 minutes. Number 9 is not just isolated. It is actively fleeing. And here is the unsettling part. A star like this does not slow down, and it does not come back. It will keep moving outward, further from any other star, for the rest of its existence, eventually becoming the only source of light in an ocean of nothing. But the next entry on this list does not need to be flung anywhere to be alone. It was born that way. Number 8 is a star that formed inside what astronomers call a cosmic void, one of the enormous empty regions of space where galaxies are so sparse that some patches stretch for hundreds of millions of light years with almost nothing inside them. If a star exists near the center of one of these voids, its nearest galactic neighbor could be tens of millions of light years away in every direction. No cluster, no supercluster, no light pollution from anything. Just a single point of light suspended in a black, so total it defies imagination. Take a normal galaxy, surrounded by thousands of neighbors, and place it instead at the heart of a void like this, and you get something closer to true isolation than almost anything else known to science. So what happens when isolation stops being about distance and starts being about permanence? That question brings us to number 7, a black hole with no galaxy at all. These are called rogue black holes, and unlike the supermassive black holes anchoring galaxies, these drift through intergalactic space completely alone, invisible except for the faint gravitational fingerprint they leave behind. We have never directly confirmed one, but gravitational lensing surveys suggest they may be far more common than anyone assumed only a decade ago. No accretion disk, no stars to devour, no light at all, just a dense knot of collapsed matter moving silently through the dark. If one of these rogue black holes existed close enough to a galaxy, it would eventually be pulled inward and swallowed by something larger. But the ones drifting through true intergalactic space may never encounter anything again, not in the remaining lifetime of the universe. If you've made it this far into the darkest corners of the cosmos, drop a like and subscribe, because the next entry turns isolation into something that threatens the very idea of connection itself. Number 6 is not a single object at all, but a galaxy caught in what's known as a supervoid, a region so profoundly empty it dwarfs even the ordinary voids already described. One such supervoid discovered through cosmic microwave background surveys, spans roughly 1 billion light-years across, making it one of the largest structures ever identified. A galaxy sitting at its center would be so far from any other galaxy that its inhabitants, if it had any, might never develop the concept of other galaxies existing at all. No neighboring light, no visible structure beyond its own stars, nothing to suggest the universe contains anything else. And here is where things become strange. Some of the light passing through supervoids like this is measurably altered, slightly cooler than it should be, evidence that space itself thins out in these regions in ways still not fully understood. Number 6 is isolation on a scale that reshapes light. But somehow, even that is not the most alone an object can be, because number 5 does not just lack neighbors. It exists in a place expansion is actively erasing. Certain distant galaxies are now receding from us faster than the speed of light can close the gap, a direct consequence of the expansion of space itself, accelerating over time. This does not violate physics, since it is space expanding rather than the galaxy moving, but the outcome is the same. These galaxies are permanently beyond reach. We will never see them again in any greater detail than we do right now, and they will never see us. What happens when contact does not just fail, but becomes physically impossible forever? That is number 5. And it leads directly to something even stranger. Number 4 lives inside our own future. Cosmologists studying the long-term expansion of the universe project that, given enough time, every galaxy outside our own local group will eventually cross this same threshold and vanish beyond an unreachable horizon. Trillions of years from now, an observer looking out from what remains of the Milky Way would see nothing. No other galaxies. No cosmic microwave background. No evidence the universe was ever anything but one small, dying galactic remnant floating in blackness. No history to reconstruct. No neighbors to measure against. Just an island, alone, forever. But the next one on this list is not a projection. It exists somewhere in the universe right now. Number 3 is a single hypothetical particle, or a lone atom, drifting in the true depths of intergalactic space, kilometers from any other particle of matter. In the emptiest regions between galaxy clusters, the average density of matter drops to something like 1 atom per several cubic meters, a vacuum more complete than anything achievable in any laboratory on Earth. An object floating there is not just far from stars or planets. It is far from almost anything at all, a single point of matter in a stretch of nothing so vast. It barely qualifies as space in the way we normally imagine it. And that leaves us with a question that has nagged at physicists for decades. If isolation can be physical, distance-based, and even matter-based, can it also be a property of time? Number 2 answers that question, and it is the strangest entry so far. The last isolated star, sometimes discussed by cosmologists modeling the far future of the universe, refers to the theoretical final point at which star formation ceases entirely across all of existence. Long after every other star has burned out, one last remaining source of light could continue flickering in a universe that has otherwise gone completely dark. No other stars to share the sky with. No galaxies left to measure its position against. Just one light, alone, across the entire remaining span of time itself, watched by nothing, and eventually going dark with no one left to notice. But even that is not the most isolated object we know of. Because the final entry on this list is not isolated by distance, and it is not isolated by time. It is isolated by definition. Number 1 is the observable universe itself. Beyond its edge lies a boundary we can never physically cross and never observe, not because of distance in the ordinary sense, but because light from anything further away has not had time to reach us. since the beginning of the universe, roughly 13.8 billion years ago. Whatever exists beyond that boundary, whether more galaxies, more stars, or something science has no name for yet, will remain permanently invisible to every observer inside this bubble of visible space, no matter how advanced our instruments become. This is not a place we can send a probe to reach. It is not a place light itself has ever managed to arrive from. It is the truest form of isolation there is, a boundary drawn not in distance but in time, sealing an entire observable universe off from whatever else may or may not be out there. We may spend the rest of our history wondering what lies past it. Nobody knows, and nobody ever will, not with the physics we understand today. That is the most isolated object in the known universe, and honestly, that is the most isolated concept we may ever encounter. If this kept you up at the edge of your seat, hit subscribe before the universe finishes expanding away from us completely. And if you are not ready to come back to normal space just yet, there is a full playlist waiting where the darkness gets even stranger.